yours. Thank you, Sean.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And thank you to the students and parents for joining and the admittance education team. This is a great opportunity for me and for St. John's University. My name is Sean Sloan. I'm a recruitment manager with St. John's University for Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. So today I'm going to be going through a presentation that covers a lot of information, some about St. John's University, some more general about New York City. I'm going to talk about scholarships and aid, as well as specifically about athletic or sport scholarships briefly. You know, and then I'm happy to answer questions as well. So please feel free to ask questions as we go. And I see some more people joining, so that's wonderful. Really happy to see that. Again, for those just joining now, my name's Sean Sloan. I'm here from St. John's University. We're based in New York City. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. Just one moment.
I got the opportunity to visit the school, and it was a wonderful campus. I'll just say that while you're pulling up the presentation. I was very impressed how beautiful it was.
Thank you for saying that. That's how we met. So that's how we got in touch. Yesem was on a counselor tour that we host each year in New York City. It's hosted by about 6 or 7 different universities, and the counselors get a chance to tour each campus while they're in New York. We are going to be running that again this summer. If there are any counselors on the call who are interested, I'd be happy to send you the application form. So you can see my screen now, right? You can see this lovely picture of one of our buildings and a very small part of our campus. So I like to start by just saying, does this look like New York City to you? I think that's a good way to frame St. John's University. We're in New York City, but we have a beautiful green 100-acre campus. It's a private gated community with the typical, what you would imagine of a very large American college campus, somewhere in the middle of the country, yet we're in New York City. So that's really something that's quite unique about St. John's. Again, this is me. I'm Sean Sloan, getting my name confused with the university name now. It's been a long day. So you're all welcome to contact me with any requests or questions after today's session. That's my email there. So we're going to be talking today mainly about New York City and scholarship opportunities, and a few other topics as well. I think there are many things to consider when you're going through the university application process. Location or geography and cost are 2 very big factors. And so I'm going to focus in on those. But it's also important to always think about important things like your major, what you want to study, and is it offered at the university, and look more into the specific academics, activities, social activities and clubs, and then, you know, size of the institution and much more. So again, those are just some things to consider when you're finding the right fit university for you. And I hope that after my presentation, you will believe that St. John's is on your list. If it works for you, the point of my job is not to force St. John's on everybody. It's an institution that I genuinely love. I've been working with St. John's for over 11 years now, and I love New York City. I'm a big city person. So if it's the right fit for you, I encourage you to reach out to me. Real quick, let's get to know New York City. I think, you know, you're already familiar with the city, but it's home to over 8 million people, many more by day, but home to over 8 million in 5 boroughs. Borough means part of the city. It's much bigger than a neighborhood. So New York's comprised of 5 boroughs. And I think the best way to look at this is the New York City subway map. So this is New York City and our wonderful public transportation system. St. John's University is based in Queens, New York City. This is one of the 5 boroughs of New York City, but it is not in the center of the city. that is how we have this gigantic, beautiful campus that Yesem mentioned, and I'm going to show you a beautiful picture of soon. So we're here where the large logo of St. John's is at the end of one of the subway lines. It's about a 45-minute metro or subway ride into the center of the city. And then we do have a Manhattan campus as well. That's the smaller St. John's logo in Manhattan in the center of New York City. That is for our business students only. We also have locations and campuses in Europe, with a campus in Rome and Paris and a location in Limerick, Ireland. Here's what I've been waiting to show you. So if I've lost you, come back. This is St. John's University in New York City. Does that look like New York City to you? We have it all. We have everything that you picture of that big American college campus, with the sports facilities, dormitories, classrooms, and big green spaces, and much more, all within this 102-acre campus. New York City is known for our art, for our food, and for the diversity of our food, for people and food from all over the world. It's known as the city of opportunity, and this is something I'm going to touch on again. Being based in New York City, St. John's is a leader in employment opportunities. We set up internships and job placements for over 90% of our students, and we are working with many of the biggest companies and best businesses in the world. So many that you've heard of, companies like Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, but Major League Baseball, much more. And I mentioned this for our diversity, and this is important. New York City is home to the world, and so is St. John's. So it is the perfect campus for international students from all over the world. We pride ourselves in the diversity of our college campus and our city. New York City's public school system, like the elementary schools through secondary, enroll students who are citizens of almost every single country of the world. We recently bid on the Olympic Games to come to New York City for the Summer Olympics and didn't get it, unfortunately. But one of the main points of our Olympic bid was our public school system has every single country in the Olympics, with the exception of 3, represented in our public school system. And St. John's is the same thing. It is a wonderful, diverse community that really anybody can call home. So, I flew through some of that. I really just skipped that art slide, but I mean, New York City, home to Broadway, home to some of the best museums in the world. Let's talk a little bit more about St. John's University. So all students start with this first-year course where they use New York City as their classroom. The teacher literally takes students out into the city. It's a wonderful opportunity as a first-year student to get to know New York. To the counselors on the call, or really anybody, I'm not such a formal person. Feel free to just jump in if you have any questions, or if you want to lead me in a different direction. Yes.
I do. Let me pop a question, because that's what the parents and children are thinking. Turkey is predominantly Muslim, and sometimes I hear this from parents and students. If I go to an institution in the U.S. that's affiliated with religion, what does that mean for me? So maybe that's something we can.
Absolutely, and I'm really glad you stopped me and asked me that question here on this slide in particular.
Yeah.
Yes, St. John's University is and was founded as a private Catholic institution. What does that mean about the institution? It means that we have strong Catholic values, in that we help out the community. We do a lot of community service, and it really is a genuinely warm and accepting academic community.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, it doesn't really mean anything. Less than the majority of our students are Catholic, or less than 50% of students are Catholic. I personally am not Catholic. I've been with the university for many, many years, and they treat me fantastic. I just read an article. It was a major American newspaper or magazine. I read the article online. I cannot recall which one. I couldn't find it for you if you're interested. But it was all about how international Muslim students prefer private Catholic institutions in the United States to public institutions, because we value religion, and we value all religions. So we have a Muslim prayer room. We have halal food. I think, not only, I don't know how to say this strongly enough, but I genuinely believe it. It is a wonderful institution from people of all religious backgrounds, 100%. And so this is our mission and our values. Aside from our Catholic Vincenzo roots, we're metropolitan and global. We're based in New York City. We have campuses and programs all around the world, as well as students from all around the world, as I've said. Just St. John's by the numbers, we're pretty large as an institution, about 20,000 students currently enrolled. That does not mean large lecture halls and big classes, though. Our average class size is about 20 to 25 students. We do not have any of those gigantic lecture hall rooms. Some classes are lecture style, but even the biggest course would have maybe a maximum of about 50 students. And again, the vast majority of courses are 20, 25 or less. Our student to faculty ratio, despite having so many students, is 16:1. That means for every 16 students, we have one professor. These numbers here, I mean, the 118 is more interesting. That's the number of countries represented in our student body. So over 115 different countries. We have 17 Division I NCAA sports programs. We're going to talk a lot more about that shortly, so I'll move on. Tons of clubs and student organizations, and a huge alumni network, which also helps with jobs. We also have alumni chapters in many international cities around the world, London being one, for example. St. John's is broken down into 5 major colleges. So as a large private university, we are built up of these 5 colleges: Pharmacy and Health Sciences, the College of Professional Studies, which hosts programs such as sports management, which is very popular, hospitality management, and much more. Then our largest college is Liberal Arts and Sciences. We pride ourselves in very strong general liberal arts programs. We have a School of Education, teaches students to be teachers, and a very high ranked College of Business. So our highest ranked programs are our business programs and our pharmacy and health science programs. But again, we're quite strong in many of the liberal arts and sciences as well. Computer science is extremely popular and strong, psychology, and many other programs as well. You see this video game lab. That's we have an entire major dedicated to video game design. That's quite unique and appealing to some students. This is our sort of Wall Street lab on the top with the current quotes of stocks running across the top. And we have a core curriculum. We are a liberal arts institution. Every student, regardless of major, is required to take about 10 courses. Most are taken in the first year, in a variety of different backgrounds and fields. And we feel very strongly about this. It creates a more well-rounded student. It's appealing to employers, and I can guarantee that you will spend the vast majority of your academic time in your field of interest and dealing with your major. This is just in addition to that. We have so many additional services available for students. These are just a few. So Center for Student Success is dedicated to first-year students. You'll meet your freshman or first-year advisor there. They help you plan your academic career, let's say, at St. John's. If you want to study abroad at our Rome campus one semester, you discuss that with them. You talk about your major or minor with them. Skip over transfer student services. But we have an Institute for Writing Studies. This is particularly helpful, I think, for many international students, but our US students also take advantage of it quite a lot. So this is just a free service to help students with essay writing. We also have a free tutoring center, so you can get tutoring in any subject. Again, is that New York City to you? I can't believe that's in New York City, but it is. Just one small field with a public basketball court. Aside from having a Division I basketball team, which plays its home games at Madison Square Garden, the home of the New York Knicks in Manhattan, you could just pick up a basketball and shoot some hoops with your friends. That's a dormitory behind them. You have the option to live on campus. It's not required. It's available. It's guaranteed for first-year students, but the truth is it's really pretty much guaranteed all 4 years if you want it. There's all sorts of accommodation styles, so suite style living, triples and quads, doubles as well. Then there's a meal plan. We have a dining hall with many different options for food. We were just recently ranked one of the safest campuses in all of the United States. So people often ask me, is New York City safe? Is St. John's safe? Is your campus safe? Well, not only is the answer yes, but according to the New York Times ranking system, we are one of the top safest campuses in all of the United States of America. And that is because we have 24/7 security, gated campus with security guards on duty who the vast majority of whom were police officers prior to coming to St. John's. We have free shuttle services in the evening. If you're near campus and need a ride back, you can call an escort to walk you from one point on campus to another if it's the middle of the night. So yeah, again, just I cannot confidently say this enough. It is 100%.
You encouraged us to keep it like a dialogue. So I'll interject another question.
Please, yeah, I like it.
I often hear from Turkish parents, especially, is it safe? It's in New York.
Yeah.
Consider this school, but could you just possibly explain to them what happens if the student is out at the library till midnight studying and they got to go to their dorm? What do they do?
Sure. So there are little I don't know what we call them, but little security phones on campus. You can just pick up a phone, you call an escort, they come by and literally accompany you to where you need to be.
Yep.
They will literally drive to the train station and pick you up there as well and bring you back to campus if it's after 9:30 p.m.
Thank you. So it's very safe.
It's very safe and very comfortable. And you were there this summer. I think you can also attest to that.
Very true. Yeah, totally. I just wanted everybody to hear that.
Yeah. No, if parents want to speak to me ever about this or anything else, I'm happy to have private calls with parents as well.
Thank you.
Sure. I mentioned many programs all over the world. The majority are in Europe because we do have a Rome and Paris campus and then this location in Limerick, Ireland. But we have programs all over South America, Asia. There are opportunities through partnerships and exchange programs to get all over the world while you're a student at St. John's University. We're a leader in sending students abroad. I don't know the exact percentage, but we're also a leader in sending students abroad. This is confusing talking to international students. You know what I mean. You're going to be going abroad for yourself to study for 4 years in the United States, but during those 4 years, you'll have the opportunity for one semester to study somewhere else. So what I wanted to say is we're a leader in sending students abroad who are on financial aid. So students who would not otherwise have this opportunity do so through St. John's. This is what I talked about before with placement, employers, internship partners. These are just a very small sample of some of the companies that we work with. GlaxoSmithKline's on here, NBC in terms of entertainment, the New York City Police Department, some professional sports teams, CVS Pharmacy. I mentioned KPMG and PwC, Ernst & Young. This figure, 91.7% of our students after graduation are either hired in their field or enrolled in a master's program within 6 months of graduation. About 96% of our graduates say they would recommend St. John's after graduating.
Mm-hmm. Sean, would you say that the New York location is very conducive to getting internships, even for international students? The location is very helpful in that, potentially.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The vast majority of our students are doing internships during their program, and that is primarily because we're based in New York City.
Including international students, because there is a program.
Absolutely. So as an international student studying on a visa, you have the opportunity to work as a student employee for the university part-time up to 20 hours a week. Mm-hmm. But you can also do an internship with an external company, for credit. You would not be earning a stipend or a salary, but you will be getting real world work experience and college credit at the same time. There's also the opportunity to work as an employee for a company in the United States after you finish your degree based on your student visa for a limited time. And that's actually leads right into this slide. We have an office that's dedicated to helping our international students with everything from the visa and I-20 process to CPT and OPT advisement. And CPT and OPT advisement, well, CPT and OPT are the acronyms that stand for these programs that allow international students to work for a salary while they're studying on a student visa in the United States. Application information for St. John's University. Well, let me see. How do I want to? So the important thing here is to ignore all these dates to start, because it's not the best slide. We offer rolling admission, which really means we don't have deadlines. And that's a nice thing about St. John's. I have students applying for whatever reason, something happened with the school they intended to go to, or they just waited too long. I have students applying in May, sometimes even June. That's very late. I do not advise it. You should be applying now, if you're in your final year of high school. But you can. We accept applications on a rolling basis, no deadline, with the exception of 2 programs, pharmacy and biooptometry. So for the over 100 other programs, you apply anytime. Our application is has become less rigorous in the past few years. In other words, it has been simplified. We don't need as much from the student. We need your transcripts from high school in the original language with an official English translation for 4 years leading to graduation. We need 1 standardized test or English proficiency test. So any of these tests listed here can be submitted, and then all the others will be waived. That is different at each institution in the United States. Don't take what I'm saying to be true for all universities. But if you give me SAT, for example, I don't need IELTS anymore or Duolingo, and the other way around. And then everything else has recently been made optional. I highly recommend that you do submit a personal essay and letters of recommendation. Technically, it's optional. Between you and me, it should be submitted. If a student does not have the English language proficiency that we require, That's okay because we have an English Language Institute. You can be admitted to St. John's to a bachelor's program conditionally with a score that is lower than our direct admission cutoff. So at the bottom of this slide, again, I'm going to share these slides with you after. So on this one, there's a lot of text. You don't need to read through it all, but just take a look at the very bottom. SJU, St. John's University's direct admission. So that requires the scores on the last bullet point of this slide. So if you're familiar with IELTS, for example, you'll need a 6.5 or higher, Duolingo 105 or higher, and TOEFL 80 or higher. We also accept Pearson PTE. I've seen it maybe once in the last 4 years. Do you ever work with Pearson PTE, Yasim? As a language proficient?
No, we typically, our students will do TOEFL or IELTS, and at some
that's
levels, we'll do Duolingo.
TOEFL and IELTS are the most common and sort of the standard. Duolingo is newer.
Yeah.
It is accepted at most universities now, and we do accept it.
It-
So anyway,
yeah.
If you get a 6 on IELTS, which is not making our cutoff, you can still be admitted. And actually, that's in this middling program of admission, which we call elite admission. It means you get to start your bachelor's degree right away in conjunction with some English language courses at the same time. Whereas the pure conditional admission at the top of this screen is an even lower score, and that means you have to complete the English program first, and then you get to start your bachelor's program upon successful completion. I don't even want you to look at this slide because the truth is nobody pays full price. Over 99% of our accepted students, literally almost every single admitted student, receives a large scholarship offer. The scholarship offers are based on your academic merit. So our annual tuition does start at $48,500. And then the cost of room and board, so that's accommodation on campus, a full meal plan, and insurance comes out to about $22,000. So the total annual cost is approximately $70,000 per year. However, we offer so many great scholarships that the average that students pay is literally about half the numbers that I just talked about. And you can pay even less than half of that. So some ways to pay less. The first way is just to apply. Our application is free of charge, and with your application, you'll automatically be considered for a merit-based scholarship. That is the one last on this list, that's listed last on the slide. Merit-based scholarship currently ranges up to $34,000 annually. So that's $34,000 in scholarship each year that will be subtracted from that $48,500. So a best high school student, again, this is purely based on your grades from high school. We can also decide to base it on an SAT score if you supply us with a really high SAT score. But I don't want to confuse you because you can still get the highest scholarship without SAT. We just look at your grades or SAT if submitted, and we base the scholarship on whichever we deem higher. So anyway, you can be awarded up to $34,000 with merit-based scholarship, and then you can apply for example, for the first one on this list, the Ozanam Scholars Program. This goes back to our Vincenzian Catholic values that I was talking about before. The Ozanam Scholars Program is a group of students who are not necessarily Catholic. You do not need to be Catholic at all to apply for or be in this program. They're just students who believe in doing community service and doing good work for the community. So if you get into this Ozanam Scholars Program, you meet with this group and these students on a regular basis, and you plan community service, you work in soup kitchens, and you do charity work. It's a really great program. Can't say enough good things about it. And it comes with $10,000 more in scholarship per year. And that can be combined with your merit scholarship offer. So now all of a sudden, in a really best case scenario, I don't want to mislead you because this is rare, but in a best case scenario, a student's being offered $34,000 in merit and then getting this $10,000 through Ozanam, bringing their annual scholarship up to $44,000, bringing annual tuition down to $4,500 per year. It is possible. I've worked with several students over the last few years who have gotten that. High merit scholarships are quite regular. The Ozanam Scholars Program is competitive and challenging to get into. There are other scholarships you can apply for separately. And then we have very large athletic scholarships for top level athletes as well. Do note that Ozanam Scholars Program has an application deadline of January 31st. So you need to have completed your application at St. John's before that date and submit this application by that date. So yeah, we do a lot of good work in the community. And with that, I'm jumping into sports scholarships. So before I do this, I want to just gauge the interest level. Do I have athletes on the call? Do we want to hear about athletic scholarships?
We get a lot of questions about athletics, and I think parents are constantly discussing this aspect,
Okay.
but whether we have anybody in the room, could they?
Yes, we are waiting for that.
Oh,
Oh,
awesome.
great. You're waiting for that. All right, we're
Okay.
going in. If this is interesting to you and you want more information, I'm happy to go through. I have a whole set of 30 or 40 slides just on this. I've narrowed it down to about 5 just to keep it good for everybody. But anyway, here we go. If you're a student athlete, you're required, if you're interested in playing at the highest levels at university in the United States, you must sign up for an NCAA Eligibility Center account. You go to their website, it's step 2 here, and you create an NCAA Eligibility Center account. This slide is just saying there are 3 main requirements to be able to play sport at the NCAA level in the United States. You have to prove that you've graduated from high school. You have to have this account and prove that you're eligible, and we'll talk about that in another minute. Eligibility means you have the required grades, you have the required courses, and that you can show that you are an amateur. You are not a professional. And I can provide more details about all that. And then you need to be admitted to the university as well. So while you're talking with coaches, they're going to tell you, well, you haven't been admitted yet. So that's obviously a big step as well. So graduate from high school, get admitted to the college, and then get recruited by the coach by having this eligibility center account. There are 3 different types of accounts. There's a free profile page. There's an amateurism only account, and then there's an academic and amateurism account. The third and main type is required if you're interested in playing Division I sports, and St. John's is a Division I school. So the top level requires this main, third account type. So yeah, for some sports like track and field, it's very easy to just Google what division of NCAA can I compete at if these are my times. But for some other sports, it's very hard for you, the athlete, to know, can I play Division I or Division II? What level am I really? So that's a good first step. Talk to your support system, talk to your coaches, talk to maybe anybody that you know that might have played in the States, people like me. Try to get a sense of what level you'd be eligible to play at. Keep up with the Eligibility Center tasks. They'll be sending you emails to keep your account up to date. So you want to make sure that you are doing that. Again, I'll share this. You can use this link to locate NCAA schools you're interested in attending. You got to research the admission requirements to the school that you're interested in. So the NCAA requires a certain grade point average from high school, generally, to qualify. The schools might have different grade point averages that they need to see. So it's important to understand that just being eligible for the NCAA doesn't necessarily mean you're eligible to be admitted to the university. And then there are specific recruiting periods. So there are blackout periods. There are parts of the year where the coach is not allowed to respond to you. You can find all that information on the Eligibility Center's website. Okay, some other just ideas or best practices. Consider travel teams or camps that coaches or agencies or recruiters go to. That's not required though. I know that's not an option for everybody. So it's just a good idea. Then email the coaches during the correct contact period and share your achievements and your interests with them. So what I mean by this is don't be shy. It's like getting a job. You have to get their attention most of the time. You can work with an agency. There are private agencies that will assist with this. I don't know if Admittance as Education assists with this or not. But
we have athletic students for sure. Can I just ask you a question?
Yeah.
Would you recommend, if they're going to be doing athletic recruitment, that they try to obtain a tourist visa? Because a lot of these camps or summer programs are not going to issue student visas, obviously. That's
a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, they won't, because it has to be a credit issuing summer program. Otherwise, like if they want to go to a summer camp, we always tell them, go get a tourist visa so you have it like 9th or 10th grade, so you can go to summer programs.
That's a good point. No, I'm learning that from you. I would not have known, but that's great advice. You need to get the coach's attention one way or another. So if you can't attend these camps or travel teams, you're sending them emails. You're including your NCAA ID that you get from the Eligibility Center. It's very important. Coaches most of the time will not even look at an email if the student doesn't have this Eligibility Center account. But then you're attaching videos of yourself. Some coaches have told me they like to see 2 videos. They like to see one sort of highlight reel and then one without any cuts in the video. They want to see not a full game, but they want to see an unbroken time period. You don't have to have these videos, but they can help. These videos do not have to be professional grade, but they should not be shaky either. So, somewhere in between, like a friend with a nice tripod would be good. A tip I've gotten is to email the assistant coach because they're less busy, and head coaches often don't have time to respond to high school student inquiries unless they know your name already, right? So email every coach that you have an email for. And you can find emails for coaches on every university's website. They're public information, and you're welcome to take those and just start contacting coaches. Try to visit. Do a virtual tour if possible. All right. I think that covers that for the most part. Now, I mentioned you need to have certain grades. Well, there's this wonderful NCAA resource that sort of translates the grades from every country in the world into a US equivalent. And you can find country-specific resources using this QR code. So you can try to scan it now, or again, I'm going to be sending this to you either later today or early Monday morning. But you'll be able to find information on Turkey and other countries here. And then this is just a really nice flyer with a bunch more information about the basic requirements. So it'll go through, the course requirement. There are certain courses you need to take, like one math, science, and that'll all be listed here. So I'm by no means an expert on these details, and I don't want to spend too much time. So I'm going to just provide you with the link. You can look at it later. Again, I'd be happy to do the full NCAA sport eligibility scholarship presentation at a later date if you'd like to do it. I have somebody from the eligibility center. These slides come from them directly. So I've worked with her directly, and we
We
could do
would be
that.
very, very interested. This is a question parents keep asking, students keep asking. And
Great.
at a future date, we would be very, very happy to host that.
We
And
we should do it.
yeah,
I'll be
sounds
happy
good.
to schedule that with you.
Thank you.
The student or parent or who, to anybody on the call, the people who said they were waiting for this part, I've gone over it fairly quickly. Do you have any questions for me now about this?
And no, thank you very much. My daughter is playing basketball, so we are also willing to know all the details. She is now 11th grade, so it's important to know all of these from this year in order to attend next year. So, and in order to make this fulfillment of her CV, it's very good to hear all of these details. Thank you very much.
Great, you're welcome. The most important thing and the first step, if your daughter has not done this already, is to create that account. Go on this website, just Google NCAA Eligibility Center, start creating an account. You can start with the first account type. It's a free profile page, so you can access their website for free. Then you can always transition that account into the main account type, which costs roughly $150. I can't remember exactly. And again, that'll be required, but that is absolutely the first step. St. John's does have a women's basketball team, and we are primarily known for basketball. Again, our men's basketball team plays half of their home games at Madison Square Garden, the home of the New York Knicks, the professional team. So it's a big basketball school. We have a famous new coach, Rick Pitino, for any basketball fans on the call. He's been a coach of several pro NBA teams. He's now our men's coach. So again, Madison Square Garden, that's this first picture here. That is in Manhattan, home of the New York Knicks, the pro basketball team. That's also our basketball home. We have our own stadium on campus as well. And as I said, about half our games are played at each. We use some of the other pro basketball stadiums for a couple of our home games as well. We have 17 teams total across all sports. Women's basketball is another team. We have baseball and softball. We do have what we call soccer, what you would call football. We have tennis. The majority of international athletes talk to me about tennis and soccer. And the majority of our players on those teams are international students. In fact, our men's tennis team does not have a single American student on the team. So our coaches are very keen on recruiting internationally. We have 34 Big East championships to date. I think that number's gone up. Big East is a very difficult division of regional division of Division I sports. So it's like the Northeast of the United States. It's one of the most difficult and competitive divisions, and we have several titles. Here are all our teams. So I was just sort of going through this by memory, but all our women's Division I teams and then our men's Division I teams are listed here. If you're not a top level athlete, but you still want to play sports, we have club sports and intramural sports, sport at all levels. There are billboards around New York City that say, St. John's, we are New York's team. So we're really known as a center for athletes. And I mentioned earlier very briefly, we have a sports management program. That's a bachelor program. It's extremely popular. Students can choose between a coaching or business track. I just had a tennis student, tennis athlete who's already playing for another university in the United States contact me because he really wants to transfer to St. John's University for a bunch of reasons, for a few things, but he said mainly because I keep hearing about how great the sports management program is. He said, I like my tennis team where I'm playing. Not that I want to leave the team. I don't like what I'm studying at the other university, so I want to keep playing tennis, but for you guys, and then study sport management. What else? Again, we have student athletes doing internships with the New York Mets, the New York Knicks, the Yankees. And that's my presentation for today. So that's the general email address for our Office of International Admission, but I also included my personal email address. And then there's going to be links and contact information for the NCAA. So if you want to get in touch with them directly, you can do that here. And then this last QR code will allow you to sign up for today's webinar, even though it already happened. But that basically just gets you on our email list, right? And then you'll start receiving information from us if you're interested. So thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure. Any questions?
I just want to thank you as we bridge into that quickly. I know we're going to cut off at the top of the hour, but we just wanted to thank Sean, not only because he provided excellent information about his institution, but he was also super helpful when it comes to athletic recruitment and some other realities of going to attending college in the US as an international student. So thank you, Sean.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And thank you everybody for joining.
We have students and parents, so if they have any questions, but they can also ask in Turkish. We can translate.
Yeah, if you want to ask in Turkish and then translate. Are there any questions in the chat? I'm just looking at the chat now.
We have nothing that's addressed to the group because Hande and I can see those.
Okay.
But maybe you might have some privately.
I don't see any, no.
Bir sorunuz olursa Türkçe'de sorabilirsiniz, tercüme edeceğiz. Or maybe they can contact you later as well.
Absolutely. Anybody's welcome to contact me anytime. Who's ready to go to St. John's?
Well, I have to say one of my favorite bosses of all time was a St. John's graduate, very capable, VP level, director level, way back when. And, I have a very good impression professionally as well because of that reason.
Well, thank you for that. That's great to hear. I also personally graduated from a master's program at St. John's University after I did a bachelor's program at NYU, New York University. So, and I know if you're thinking about New York City, you're thinking about New York University. So as an alumni of both NYU and St. John's, I can tell you that I had a very similar academic experience at both. It was excellent at both institutions. Some of the professors are even the same people. But, clearly NYU is more known than St. John's. They're bigger, they're higher ranked. But with personal experience at both institutions, I can tell you that they're both fantastic academic communities, wonderful programs, great professors. I'm happy to advise students and just help out with anything. If you have general questions about studying in the United States and you don't want to go to St. John's, you can contact me about that too. Here to help. So I look forward to hearing from some of you in the future.
I'll add that we'll have a recording posted on the YouTube channel for Admittance Education. So if you follow that, you'll get a notification. If you don't, you can subscribe. YouTube kanalımıza koyacağız kaydını. Onu sadece belirtmek istedim. Bugün en geç yarın orada olacak. And we thank you again.
All right. Have a great evening, everybody.
You too.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Bye-bye.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.